Hello, today I have a message called Something That Puts Out the Fire. Okay, so beginning with guilt built a house and it called it love. So whenever I feel resistance or stress or tension of any kind, I am kind of feeling or seeing the house that guilt built, the structure it built, and it calls real. And furthermore, it calls it love, it calls it safety. So everything I built in imagination using thought in order to see separate things in conflict with one another and to count myself as one of these separate things in conflict, and then further to house myself within a structure called a body that could have separate elements in conflict within itself or with what we would call the outside world. All of this guilt built a house and it called it love. But prior to guilt building any house, any structure, anything that it says is someone's safety or love is just love. Love it's here prior to anything that guilt built. So in any moment, I can sort of recede out of the structure, mental structure and emotional structure, and understand I'm just engaging with a built imaginary structure and attempting to call it love. And at any moment, I can drop that. It's not working out for me, and I can tell by how I feel. I can drop that and just be here in what has always been here, in what's prior to and beyond any structure guilt would build. And if there's something to be done with any of these structures as I perceive them, then what I relax back into can take care of that, can take care of what forms the structures take, and what feels like the separate self gets to drop right out of that, drop right out of the struggle, and allow what is actually here. Because what is actually here can do the cleanup. My part is surrendering it and understanding I don't want to engage with it or try to extract anything from it anymore. So my part is just surrendering it and allowing the transformation and recognizing myself to be one with what has always been here, what is here prior to and beyond the house that guilt built and tried to call love. And that's everybody and everything. Even the essential nature of them is not whatever structure seems to be built around them, separating them. Their essential nature is what's prior to and beyond the house that guilt built. And each one of us could think, I just built all these structures to try to take out pieces of love and separate them and put them in conflict with one another. And that can never happen. It's not possible. It can only be imagined. Okay, so then notice that you can't have wrongdoing without isolated wrongdoers. So we do have to isolate some wrongdoers if we're going to have a doing be done that we would then call wrong. And if you think of yourself like putting the blueprints out without your conscious awareness and having this plan, okay, we're going to have wrong, which never existed, and we're going to have wrong things be done, so we have to have wrongdoers. So it's like setting up your action figures, setting up your toys to enact a fantasy. And you can look at anything through this lens and having the idea like, this is what I came to see, this is what I wanted, but it never was because it's not possible. And now, what is truly here and what I've been with everyone I call a separate wrongdoer, with everything It's just here. And I like, A Course in Miracles says we're always choosing between miracles and murder. So what do we want to see? Do we want to see murder, which is what we're used to? We're used to the ending and the overcoming of separate things. Or do we want to allow miracles? Those would be transformations that remind us of what is here, of what is real. There still seems to be form, and that's fine. It gets ushered out in the appropriate way. Do we want to see murder, or do we want to see miracles? And if you think of yourself being a child and setting up the toys and getting so invested in your world you forget you're running it, that's what we've been making the choice for. We've been so twisted up in our minds that we thought it was outside of us and happening outside of us because of an evil, which can't exist, but seems to, because we imagined it, that was other than us and that we were subject to. We made ourselves victim to our own game. And so certainly we have to emerge from the victim mentality, but not in a way that would make us fight against anything, because we made it up. We've been enacting it. We've been moving the pieces around and saying all the lines. No matter how wonderful or terrible any of the actions or the lines might be, that's been us. That's been one. Forgetting itself, forgetting what it is. And so now is when we can allow and know we have the full power in every moment to say, well, I can choose between miracles and murder. I can always turn toward the miracle. You only have to know what it is. But the more we practice focusing, noticing when our thoughts are out of alignment with miracles, with love, the more we store up these miracles, even if we don't let ourselves see them yet. Doesn't matter if nothing seems to be happening. Allowing ourselves to be in charge of which way our mind is focused is enough. Either we see them, we see proof of them, or we store them up. That doesn't even matter right now. What matters is how our minds are oriented. And if we have any self-interest, we want to be happy and we want to stop suffering. And as we learn to focus away from murder toward miracles, because those are the only two focuses I can have, we find our happiness. We're deluded for quite a while that different forms of murder or separation, different forms of separation can satisfy us or make us happy. But that falls away and that becomes obvious. These forms of separation don't bring on happiness. If someone were to yank them away, I'd be immediately unhappy. That's the fiction I've been upholding, that there can be happiness, and I give myself these little blips to blot out the unhappiness I invented, and then I yank things away from me or bring pestilence or misfortune upon me, and then I feel the unhappiness I invented. All the game. The only thing there is actual happiness, not the substitute that would seem to take and form unhappiness away for a little while before you stab yourself with unhappiness in a different form. Yes, it's a sick mind that does this. My mind is sick, and I have to reach out for and allow healing. Allow miracles to remind me, hey, you're okay. Everyone's okay. And that means we can't slice and dice and chop each other up as bad. So if I'm going to keep one bad in my world, I'm going to believe that bad is real, instead of something I made up to substitute for love, this good, bad dichotomy Okay, there is something that puts out the fire of suffering. So we can notice anytime we don't feel good today. There is something that's going to soften this and help me feel at home. There is something present all the time that's going to make this disturbance disappear. And what we learn is a focus. This thing that makes the disturbance disappear is everywhere. It's everywhere to be tuned into. It's everyone's true nature. Behind any appearance they seem to have, behind any actions they seem to be doing, behind any way those actions would seem to be judged, especially positively or especially negatively. That thing that puts out the fire of suffering is everywhere. You could say in everything. You could say behind everything. There's probably another way to use words, but the words, they just point. They can't be the thing. Words are part of what we invented for the experience of suffering. Why did we do that again? Anyhow, doesn't matter. Whatever we invented can be used as a tool to point us back out of what we invented. But we have to take responsibility for the invention, because if we're going to leave one other separate entity that's not connected to us, we leave an enemy when we have no enemy. We're just pretending. We're pretending to have an enemy. So no matter what's happening, there always is something that puts out the fire of suffering. It's what's prior to and beyond what seems to be here now. It is here now. Everything is infused with it. It's here. It's within everything. And it puts out the fire of suffering. And what we learn to do is focus toward it and allow it to do its work. So you can see the connection between that and miracles. And it's funny because our understanding isn't required. We don't have to try hard to understand any of this. But once we recognize, oh, I'm doing this to myself, suffering is optional, I can focus toward what is helpful. What is helpful is everywhere. It's really simple. It's really simple. It's just being distracted by all the seeming fine and conflicting details of time and space, and all the ways we can habitually use time and space to abuse in the physical, and the way we observe things, the way we interpret things, abuse any part of it, including what we call to be ourselves. We drop out of that habit, drop out of that habit, drop out of that habit by running into this tension and noticing it and allowing it to dissolve. So then we have, you can be faking without noticing that you're faking. Our character that we're enacting, and the way we think our character is these certain ways and is not these other certain ways, and the way that we think other characters are these certain ways and not other certain ways. All of that's very flexible. And as we're interacting, speaking, we can begin to notice that our actions are given to us by the ego. Our lines are given to us by the ego. We can tell by how we feel. And that's the fakery. And we can notice, whoa, I've been running on this engine for quite a while. And look, I see everyone around me running on engines too. And what engines do I think they're running on? Everything I see is up to me. But what I can learn to do is focus both on their true nature and on mine. And as I truly recognize our minds are joined, our minds are one mind. And it's a beautiful, loving mind. And it's not necessary to see or experience anything that would contradict the wholeness and the goodness of this one mind. Then the faking, without noticing that I'm faking, can recede, disappear, melt, go away. So any feeling of discomfort, uncertainty, anger, stress is how it feels to engage in fakery. So before we go and say, hey, I hate fake people and those people are over there are so insincere and fake, isn't that really transparent now? Anytime we're disturbed, we ourselves are faking. We're pretending to be a separate entity that can be disturbed by other separate entities, when this separate entity does not exist and the other separate entities do not exist. But as we are together, we definitely exist in peace, in love, in joy, forever. That's the very simple truth of us. And nothing can truly change it. Nothing has changed it, what we are together. But in imagination, we can experience a preferred change. And who preferred it? I did. Responsibility. I can't experience a change I did not prefer. So isn't that nice how it can be undone? Because when I no longer prefer this change, this imagination, this fakery, it gets a chance to drain away and to be replaced by, as I understand it, first a symbol of what truly is. And then we allow the symbol to disappear because you don't need a symbol of something when you have its reality. And that's it. But when I'm busy treating all the seemingly separate pieces of my fantasy as if they're in real and can be in real conflict with one another, I'll be engaging in conflict for as long as I encourage the conflict to fester. And that's me. That's not anybody else, that's me. So taking responsibility is key here. Okay, let's say that in a particular moment, you feel convinced that a particular person is obsessed with a particular thing. In that very moment, you are isolating the thing and the person and the obsession, but let's just say the thing, giving it meaning and value. So in a sense, we're obsessed with that particular thing in that moment. We have just brought it to fake life, giving it both meaning and value. So what to do? What to do? We don't know what to do. We don't know what to say. Having that moment of don't know is good because it can help us detach from the fakery tube. The fakery tube would give us words and actions and reasons for those actions and words. And we know how it feels to be hooked up to the fakery tube. Not great, but it offers us the satisfaction of being right, thinking we're right about something. Or in the moment where we don't know, we know we don't know how to respond to anything, to anyone, to any situation. We know we don't know. Then here's the spirit tube. And whatever's needed in that moment, we can begin to trust this tube. If we're attached to the fakery tube, it is, I am in charge. I'm responsible in a blame sense, in a heavy sense, not I have the power to bring happiness to all. It is, I have a heavy burden on me and I have to struggle against it. we're used to the fakery tube for our words and actions. But here's the spirit tube. And it'll carry us through and out of what we imagined, and it will prescribe our role for us. And it's just given. It's just given. It's just made obvious. It's nothing we have to figure out. So as we're feeling the tension of being of feeding off the fakery tube, that's not us. And what we see when we're feeding off it isn't anyone else either. We're seeing these facades and experiencing them and reacting. When we're getting our so-called nourishment from that tube, we are completely misguided. And we can notice the feeling of that. When we notice the feeling of that, when we reorient towards something that speaks to us of sanity. For me, it's today. It is, God is my life, I have no life but His. Meaning, you just focus toward the one thing. You don't have to use the word God. There is one life. We all share it. It is the one thing. Then, here's our other power source. It's here for us. And as we allow it to operate what we conceive of as ourselves, but we're not our true self without everyone, then it also operates in word and deed. Everyone we seem to encounter who we would call else. The power of this is not something we've accepted yet. But every day, every minute, every moment is the opportunity to turn toward this actual power, to acknowledge it, and to begin to put it in charge. So that's the opportunity we have today. And then we can find out what that, I want to say, feels like, but also the awareness of the ego's feeling scale being completely false steps forward. So I wouldn't want to go into a false happiness. We can become aware of what is truly here for all of us. That would be the love, the peace, the joy that we truly are, and that joins all of us forever. We cannot be separate. Love declares it so. Peace declares it so. Joy declares it so. So may we see that more and more as we take the time to reorient. Okay, thanks.